In 1989, three brothers walked to school like they did every other morning, but they never made it to class. No trace, no suspects, no ransom, just silence. For 22 years, their disappearance haunted a quiet Nebraska town. And then, in 2011, a shocking discovery unearthed the truth. A truth more horrifying than anyone imagined. This is the story of Daniel, Jacob, and Matthew Lockhart, and the secret that lay buried with them for over 2 decades. Monday, October 16, 1989, Mill Creek, Nebraska. It was a cool, bright autumn morning in Mill Creek, the kind where the streets smelled of dried leaves and chimney smoke. 11-year-old Daniel Lockhart, his younger brothers Jacob, 9, and Matthew, just 6, were dressed in matching windbreakers and walked the same route to school they'd taken hundreds of times. They waved goodbye to their mother, Ellen Lockhart, who stood at the door of their modest 2-story farmhouse. She would later say that nothing felt out of the ordinary, but she remembered Daniel glancing back at her one extra time. Before turning down the road, they were seen one final time at 7:45 a.m. by Mrs. Conley, the owner of the town's corner store. She told police the boys had bought gum and were laughing about something. That was the last confirmed sighting of the Lockhart brothers. By 9:15 a.m., the school had called the Lockhart home. None of the boys had shown up. Ellen thought it was a mistake. She called her husband, Mark, who raced home from work. Minutes turned into hours. By noon, the sheriff's department was involved. By 3 p.m., the entire town was out searching. Farmers parked their combines. Teenagers on dirt bikes combed the woods. Helicopters scanned fields and ponds. Nothing. No backpacks. No footprints. No evidence of a struggle. It was as if the boys had vanished into thin air. Mill Creek wasn't used to fear. But after that day, everything changed. The Lockhart disappearance was front-page news for weeks. Police interviewed hundreds. Tips flooded in from nearby counties, but none led anywhere. One disturbing theory involved a blue pickup truck seen idling near the elementary school days before. A composite sketch was made, circulated, and ultimately dismissed. No match. As days passed, theories multiplied. Runaway? Dismissed. The boys were too young and had no history of rebellion. Family dispute? Investigated and ruled out. Abduction? The most plausible, but by whom? Some began whispering about a drifter who had camped by the river. Others suggested a known predator recently released from prison. But nothing stuck. The case grew cold. The Lockharts became shells of themselves. Ellen stopped going out. Mark would sit on their porch every morning watching the road, hoping, always hoping, that one of them might come walking back. 7 years later, in 1996, a man named Donnie Halley was drinking at a roadside bar outside Mill Creek. Donnie, a retired truck driver, had once worked on the old Granger Ranch just outside town. He leaned in toward the bartender and said something strange. "I think I saw them Lockhart boys, locked in a shed. They were crying, screaming. Long time ago, though. Maybe 90 or 91. The bartender called police, but Donnie, drunk and often rambling, had a reputation for telling tales. His tip was never followed up properly. 2 years later, in 1998, Donnie died in a fire that engulfed his trailer. It was ruled accidental, but after 2011, some started to wonder. February 17, 2011, 22 years after the Lockhart brothers vanished, construction crews began clearing the long-abandoned Granger Horse Ranch. The new owner planned to turn the dilapidated property into a vineyard. Then, during excavation behind the old barn, one of the workers unearthed what looked like a bundle of tattered fabric. He pulled it out wrapped tightly in a child's windbreaker. Beneath it was bone. Police arrived within hours. By nightfall, 3 sets of small skeletal remains had been discovered. Each one was buried in a separate shallow grave, side by side. Dental records confirmed the town's worst fear. Daniel, Jacob, Matthew. They had never left Mill Creek. They died less than 15 miles from home. The land had once belonged to Carl Granger, a respected horse trainer and local philanthropist. Granger had volunteered in the boys' school. He'd hosted summer camps. He was even part of the original search party. He died of a stroke in 2004, never once suspected of any wrongdoing. But hidden in the crawl space of his barn was the horror. No one saw coming: rusted chains, a child's shoe with the name Jacob written inside, and a moldy notebook containing scribbles, dates, and disturbing drawings. A shoelace found in the crawl space tested positive for DNA, a match to Jacob Lockhart. A closer look at the skeletons revealed something darker: rope burns on wrists and ankles, signs of malnutrition. Matthew's skull showed a healed fracture. He may have died from blunt trauma. Experts believe they were kept alive for days, maybe weeks, before they died. Carl Granger had lived under everyone's nose, all while likely holding the three boys prisoner. The Lockhart family held a second funeral for their sons. In April 2011, Ellen, now gray-haired and quiet, stood by their shared headstone and told reporters, "I spent years picturing them safe, maybe in another state, maybe with kind strangers. I never imagined they were screaming for me, just miles away." She wasn't alone in her heartbreak. The town of Mill Creek never truly recovered. The statue built in front of Mill Creek Elementary shows three boys, holding hands forever frozen in innocence. Mark Lockhart passed away in 2016 from heart failure. Ellen moved to Oregon to live near her daughter. Their home sits abandoned now, quiet, with a rusted swing set out back. Though the case is officially closed, many believe Granger wasn't acting alone. Who helped him cover it up for 22 years? Why were early leads like Donnie Hale's tip ignored? And what really caused Donnie's trailer to burn down? Some whisper of a silent pact in the town's elite. Circles, a cover-up to protect Granger's reputation. Others believe there are more victims, more bones, more truths buried under old barns and forgotten fields. But one thing is certain: evil lived in Mill Creek, and for 22 years it wore a friendly smile. The Lockhart brothers' disappearance shattered the illusion of safety in Mill Creek. A family broken, a town forever changed, and a haunting reminder that the most terrifying monsters are often the ones we never suspect. If this story gripped you, subscribe for more real-life mysteries that expose the chilling truth behind small-town secrets. And remember, not all cold cases stay buried forever.